to start streaming in a second here.
Alright, well, I'll go away then.
Okay.
Good luck.
Yeah, I'll speak to
good
you
luck.
after. Thank you, bye-bye.
User disconnected from your channel.
Alright, where's my music? Whoa!
I could hear that from here.
Yeah, I know. Alright, so I got that ready to go. Zeros. Alright, so alright, you ready? I'm gonna start the thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Good luck.
Yeah, I'll speak to
good
you
luck.
after. Thank you, bye-bye.
User disconnected from your channel.
We are live once again. Historic Sim Racing Organization presents round number 3 of the IROC series at Riverside once again. I am Jason White. I am your commentator. I'm joined by Richard Wilks. Richard, good evening.
Good evening, Jason. Good evening, everyone.
Bit of a shoestring broadcast today, but we are now on the pace lap, actually. And I will very quickly go through the grid. We actually have some absences in this race, unfortunately, so it's not going to be the full 12-car grid. But in a way, Richard, this is kind of a preview of what we'll see in the final race at Daytona, because that race is going to be only 9 cars, and here we have 8. So that's not completely unusual for this series.
Yes, indeed. As we all know, this is an invitational series. It was for the hell of it. And of course, in this vacation period, it is always hard to gather everybody that we want. So indeed, there are some absences, but still, we still have a very fine grid here today.
Yeah.
There were some setup changes to the cars after
true.
last time, and the grid is now, I would say, very much closer. And I guess we are expecting a good race here today.
Let's go through the grid very quickly while we have a moment. Row 1, Richard Coxon, since he finished last in the previous race, and Jose Berenger starting second. Row 2 is Ben Paulett and Philippe Martinelli. Row 3, Gérard Rion and Ole Marius Mervold. And the final row, Steve Parker, who's the current points leader, and Yves Placé, who won the last race. So it's going to be an interesting situation here. Once again, by virtue of the fact that Steve has been doing so well, he has to start from the back because, of course, in IROC rules, at least for the first 3 rounds, you have a situation where, you know, if you win a race, for the next round, you go straight to the back and they invert the field. So,
Indeed.
So
And I
we'll
guess
see. It'll be really interesting to see how quickly Parker can bring his car forward. He's driving the gold, or kind of bronzish car in this race. Coxon on the pole is driving number 14, the silver car. And you see Berenger there in number 9. So now we're coming down to what should be the start, 30-lap race. Same as the last time.
Yes, and it will be interesting because Yves Placé and Steve Parker have been, well, they are very experienced in these kinds of cars, and they have been the class of the field, and they start last.
Well,
so
you got to remember also that they were basically the 2 people who really squared off in Trans Am, and they're used to these cars. It was basically the championship between those 2. Pace car has come in, and we're looking now for the green flag. Coming down to the line. There it is! The race is underway! So Coxon shoots into the lead, and Behringer is in second behind him. Coming up
Let's see if everybody.
Yeah, it looks like everybody's doing okay. Coxon got a huge start there. That's I guess in U.S. terms we would call that a sprint car start. He just shot right into the lead. So
Well, he has to. He knows that maybe Yves Passer or Steve Parker can be a bit quicker, so he needs to gain an advantage while he can.
3 wide into the really tight corner leading onto the backstretch. Coxon comes down towards the little switchback that gives everybody lots of trouble. Let's take a look and see who's coming through here. There's Behringer in second.
There.
Oh man, there's a little bit of contact here and there. Oh goodness! Well, see, that's the problem. Is that area? Okay, here they come. Oh yes, cones flying. But the good news is that everybody appears to be in one piece. Nobody caught the tires of death. Coxon now into the last sweeper. We're on board with him now. Oh, and he's really opposite locking coming out of there. Looking back now from his car to Jose Behringer, that first turn is really tricky in these cars, Richard.
It is, yes. The cars have a tendency to try to roll too much and the back end to come out, so drivers have to be especially careful.
And we have a pass here, a really significant one. Parker is just carving his way through the field like a hot knife through butter. He just overtook Paulett. So that puts him already up into third place from last on the grid. So he's wasting no time, and Yves Placé is only 2 positions back. So as predicted, those two are coming to the front.
Yes, meanwhile, Jose is also eating away the distance that separated him from Richard.
Yeah, Behringer is no slouch in these cars. He was quite good, surprisingly, he was quite good in the first round at Michigan on an oval, which, you know, with his background, he drives sports cars and touring cars at HSO, so that was a surprise to a lot of us. And now he's driving the lime green car, probably the easiest car to pick out in this race. And yeah, he's doing a good job of hanging with Richard, not letting him get away. So this is the section that really can cause problems because the tires are so close, and he's really closing on him here. Now, you basically just have to straighten out these S's as best you can. Ooh, that was very close. That was way too close for comfort. These guys are letting it all hang out.
They are not the tires of death for nothing.
No, if you do not want to touch those. Oh, it looks like a mistake from Richard there, and Behringer goes into the lead. But Richard's not going to take that lying down. He's definitely hanging with Behringer, and you can see him in the mirror there. Looks like he's going to attempt a pass up here. Going for the inside, but Behringer closes the door. So not the opportunity to counterattack there that they would have liked. Then there's this switchback, which is ridiculous.
Martinelli out in the race.
Oh, no!
I guess he crashed somewhere, damaged his suspension.
My goodness, that's not good. We'll have to, yeah, he is. He's out of the race. And it happened too far back. We can't see it, but that's unfortunate. So Behringer now leads with Coxon in second.
Steve Parker and Yves Placé are in pursuit. Let's see how long do they take to catch them, if they do.
Well, there's quite a decent cushion between Parker and Coxon right now, but I wouldn't. God, they are really cutting it fine there. Ooh, man, Parker's back end just got way out of line going through the S's. So we'll see what happens if Parker's able to reel them in. Although we have full flag rules on in this race, the chance of a yellow flag happening is very remote. There would have to be a serious accident and a car stopped on the course for a yellow to happen. So we don't really anticipate that here. It's likely going to be, oh, and you can see, looking ahead, Richard is, oh man, that was probably just a tad, that was probably a tad optimistic, but thankfully everyone's okay. And you can see how the cars get really airborne coming out of that turn. Oh man, Coxon's back end got really loose there. But, you know, again, we would point out that, you know, these are the best of the best at HSO. And if anybody can handle these unwieldy, heavy Camaros, it's these guys.
Indeed, and Coxon doesn't want to let Jose get away.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, if I was in his shoes, I'll try to pressure Jose as much as I can, because the tires of that are always awaiting.
Yeah, that's the thing we have to consider too. Tires are going to be a problem eventually. So the question will be, can you conserve your tires? Oh man. See, Richard going through there, he must know. And there goes Parker and Place. And then there's a big gap back to Gerard Rion in the yellow car. And there's an even bigger gap back. Oh, we got Ole Marius Mervold.
Ooh, Coxon made a mistake. He ran wide. He touched the wall. And I guess he lost quite a lot of ground now.
Oh, yes, there's oh, and he's spinning now! He's spinning out. Oh, no, but he can, if he can keep going.
He can keep going.
Yeah, he's got some significant damage to the car. Let's see what happened here. Here's the replay. Yeah, there he touched the barrier in the last turn. That's what happened. That's what caused that damage. And then of course he spins there. So yeah, it looks like he's kind of either the car is not behaving the way that he would like it to now because of the damage, or he's fallen backwards. Now he's behind Gerard Rion, so that puts him way back in 5th place. And that's not good for his championship hopes in this series. Because remember, the points are distributed quite evenly here. 12 points for a win, 11 for second, 10 for third, so they don't really precipitously drop. But the people who will be invited to the final round will be the top 9 point scorers.
Indeed, and let's not forget that only 5 laps have passed, and we have a 30-lap race.
Yeah, it's only 1/6 of the distance, so there's a ways to go, and these guys are really going for. Oh my goodness! Richard ran wide and had the presence of mind to avoid the tires. So he's fighting that car, but now he's closing in on Gerard Rion, our friend from Brussels. Well, he's looking like he might be able to set him up here if he could.
Of course, the big danger now for Richard is after you do such a big mistake like that, when you lose several positions, the red mist can install itself. And
yes.
You can start making mistake after mistake, and that's something that Richard must try to avoid at this point.
Yeah, it has a way of exponentially getting worse. If you basically have to put the incident behind you and pretend like almost it didn't happen, and just refocus yourself. And for some people that's easy to do, for other people it's very difficult. I've myself had to learn that skill over many races. Oh, he grazes the wall again, but it does not appear he had any hard contact, just painted it with some silver paint there.
Yeah, just annoyed a bit the body shop that will take care of his Camaro later.
Yeah, I've heard stories about the actual IROC series back then where, man, Richard is,
he's so close now.
Yeah, he's very close. Richard is fearless going through there. Now he's got an inside groove, but of course the next turn is a left-hand turn. Let's see if he can do anything. Gerard driving a very defensive line, but oh, look at this! Coxon's alongside, and it looks like he can sneak by. Great racing between these two, and we talked about not being flustered after an incident like Coxon had, and it looks like he's putting that behind him and continuing to race. So he goes up to 4th place now.
Yes, that was a very nice switchback, and
But
if Richard can keep the 4th place, well, he will get a few more points, although the first 3 are very, very up the road at this point.
yeah. Oh goodness, there was Behringer! Behringer is out of the race.
He's in the middle of the
He's
track.
in the middle
What
of the
happened?
track. What happened? It looks like he blew his engine.
He did blow his engine.
He blew his engine. There's smoke. Oh, that's really unfortunate. Maybe he just missed a shift or something.
It's possible. It's possible.
Now,
So now this promotes Steve Parker, who else, to 1st place, although he's only with 1.5 seconds of an advantage over Yves Passet.
so we've got a real showdown here developing between the two of the very best at HSO in heavy, unwieldy cars. These two know how to drive these cars better than I think anybody else at HSO. I could be...
Yes, it is true.
Yeah. So Parker leads in the bronze car, and we've got Placé in the cream number 15 just behind him. Now, while I have a second, I'm going to take a quick look at the point standings and remind everybody of where... Whoa! What was that? Okay, well, that was weird. That looked like a ping issue of some kind on my end. Yes, never mind. I apologize. Everything's fine. That was
Well, sometimes
sometimes
it looks like an accident, right?
No, it looked like he ran right up the banking and over the fence, but then suddenly he was back in the track. What it was a ping-related snafu. So my bad. Parker's car's got a few small dings here and there, but it looks for the like in the front end, but it looks for the most part like the car is pretty clean. The same can be said for Placé. Yeah, his car's got a dent in the left front, but generally he looks okay. What I was going to say about the IROC series in real life, basically you had these mechanics that were making these cars equal as they possibly could, and then they're all pristine and beautiful going into the race, and as they watched the cars come around, they'd see dents and dings in them, and they go, oh boy, there's some work for us to do. So it was kind of
I don't envy them.
No,
I
never. It's one job I would not envy because, and of course they had other cars as backups for if cars got totaled in an event. But it was very much a. I believe there was a thankless job kind of feeling about it at times. In any case, Parker leads, Placé's in second. As far as the points situation goes, let me read off the points situation to everyone so they have an idea. Parker is in the lead with 23 points, and Yves Placé is second with 20. So we're looking at the points battle right here in real time.
Yes, and Yves Passet has recovered a lot of ground, and now it's really in the back of Steve.
And then second and third in the points are two drivers who are not here today, Peter Lengel and Mike Becknell. Then in fifth with 12 points is Ole Marius Mervold. Behringer is sixth with 11 points, and he's out of the race, so he won't improve there. And then further down the list, we have other drivers who are not here, Vincent Beretta and Pascal Lepive, and then Philippe Martinelli, and he's out of the race. So these two, Parker and Placé, have a real chance of extending their lead in the points, and it could very well come down to these two in the final race at Daytona.
Which is not without some irony. Ooh, look at that.
Yeah.
This is very, very close.
Which is not without irony, meaning...
Well, the fact that these two end up being once again the force of the championship, but will have to decide between themselves at an oval.
Yeah, and in that case, I mean, if you're handicapping these two in an oval, you would have to give the advantage to Steve, I would think, because, well, I don't know. Because Placé has done some USAC racing here and there. I mean, he's not unfamiliar with ovals, so I don't know. It's a tough call who's going to have the advantage at Daytona.
Yeah, Steve he did really well at Michigan, but Daytona is basically flat out, so it will be a very different kind of race.
It's not fair to compare Michigan on apples to apples with Daytona, because Michigan is a track where you have to get out of the throttle just a little bit, and you have to be very gingerly about it. At Daytona, you can put your foot on the floor and just let it fly, and it's going to be a slipstream battle for 100 miles. So, yeah, it's a different prospect entirely.
And it's still quite a way to go to that race, right, Jason? Can you
Yes.
remind our viewers when it is?
That race, I believe, is much later in the calendar year. Let me have a look. That race will take place on October 9th.
Well,
So we have
so
quite
you
a
see, if you want to see these cars around Daytona in a drafting battle, you know when it is going to happen.
Yeah, we're in kind of a break pattern at HSO where a lot of people are on holiday, but that doesn't mean we're not going to be racing. In unusual alternative events, we have a brand new series that we're going to run starting next week, the Jaguar Intercontinental Challenge, as part of the Open series that we're doing, the Gold Star. And those cars are just flying off the shelf. We opened the entry list today, and to my knowledge, they may already be gone, all of them.
Indeed, and it's funny because that was almost a sort of IROC, but in European format.
It was sort of an IROC format, although I don't believe the cars were in the control of TWR once they left the factory. After that...
Oh, they were.
Oh, they were?
You could not change basically almost nothing also. It was pretty much sealed cars. The only change the teams could make was maybe tighten up a bit or loosen up a bit the front anti-roll bar, and that was it.
So it'll be a really interesting, it will be not unlike this situation, I guess. Okay, so now Coxon, with Behringer's retirement, has now risen to third place, which, you know, he must be feeling pretty lucky right now considering the spin that he had earlier in contact with the wall. About right here, actually, is where that happened.
That also might help him to be at the grand finale in Daytona in terms of points.
Yeah, because looking at the point standings right now, I don't remember mentioning his name, but, well, Richard's actually 11th in the points right now with 7. So it's possible he could sneak in, either by virtue of the fact that he is just gets within the top 9 based on his performance here, or if somebody can't make it to the final race, then people who are 10th, 11th, 12th in points will just get, you know, elevated into that race. So we'll have to wait and see. But at any rate, the distance between, or the gap between Steve Parker and Yves Placé seems to be fairly constant. These two are driving fairly consistently. We're looking back now from Steve Parker's car, and you can see how you have to be... Ooh, man. The weight transfer on these cars is probably what makes these S's so difficult. Would you agree, Richard?
Oh yes, for sure. I mean, the S's are downhill, and of course the weight transfer, like you said, is massive, which can upset the car. So you have to be constantly correcting in order to keep the car straight there, and obviously you want to straighten them out as much as you can without hitting the tires of death.
Yeah, and you can do your very best to line up the car properly, and if even in that man, that switchback with the jump is pretty amazing. You can get into a situation where weight transfer just sends the car in a direction that you're not intending it to go, and then you're screwed. You can't do anything. But actually, we saw really good heads-up driving by Coxon, where he realized he wasn't going to make the corner, and rather than try to fight the car and get it back in line, he let it go to the left, missed the tires, and then continued.
Yes, and that's the best course of action, because hitting those tires is the end of your race, and you don't want that to happen.
Oh, Placé is now getting much closer to Steve, so we may see something develop here through the S's. it's really fun to watch these two go through there because they are just absolutely on the knife edge of control, and you can clearly see that they've been
Ooh,
practicing.
look at Steve entering the corners completely sideways.
Yeah, he's, again, we mentioned it before, but it bears repeating. The tires are not going to be pristine by the end of 30 laps if they continue to be driven in this fashion. And both of these two, I mean, they're conscious of the points situation. They are first and second, so they know what's on the line here.
Yes, tire overheating and tire wear are an issue here, and we are now approaching only half of this race, so it's not unlikely to think that whoever conserves his tires better between these two will win the race.
I mean, the two of them have been driving remarkably consistently. I mean, Parker's had a couple of instances where he got the car way sideways, but I'm thinking to myself, who's been nicer to their tires so far? I can't really tell based on what I'm seeing right now. When we get down to maybe like 5 laps to go or so, it's really going to become, as we say in America, show and tell time. If these guys have anything left, it will be time to put the cards on the table. Parker seems to be taking a more conservative line through the S's than Eves is, or at least he was in that instance, but Eves is staying right with him. He is not going to let this bronze-colored car get away.
Yeah, I think the problem now with Steve is really find a way around, with Eves, is really find a way around Steve, because Steve is not making many mistakes and he's covering the racing line. And it's not that easy to overtake here unless you are clearly faster than the car in front of you. And look, Steve enters the corner there in a defensive line. So I guess Eves is buying his time and studying Steve and see where he can overtake cleanly.
I think I think tactically Eves is in a good position right now where he's staying real close to Parker, and as long as he has him in his sights, he seems to be able to close up to him without too much trouble. It's just simply a matter of, as you said, look, he's taking a look down the inside here, but this is a rare instance where, well, there may be an opportunity now because Parker got way sideways, and that's going to affect his speed coming out of this turn. Place is definitely closer. And he's taking a look down at, well, now he was taking a look down the inside. Now he goes to the outside. Maybe he's just playing some psychological games with Parker at this point. Just saying, hey, I'm here, and I'm not going to let up. God, this
Yes,
is like,
I think Steve must be already having problems with overheating the rear tires. His car is looking really, really sideways all the time. And he doesn't seem to have the same traction that Eves now has coming out of the corner.
It's clear watching Eves' car that he has better traction and better bite going into the corners, because in the last few corners he's been able to get really good purchase going into the corner. So we'll see if he can capitalize on that. Yeah, to your point, Parker definitely taking a defensive line. And it puts him actually in a very good spot coming into the switchback. That's the other thing that's interesting about this track is if you make an overtake on somebody, that's interesting. What's Parker doing there? He's pulled all the way to the inside.
Maybe he's trying to get away from Eves so he doesn't catch his draft.
Yeah, maybe that was a tactic. I mean, that's a tactic that we're probably going to see a lot of in the final race. People cutting across the track in order to try to break the slipstream. Well, it looks like Eves got off in that corner much quicker there. Let's take a quick look at the rest of the field. It appears, Coxon is pretty much by himself. Here he is exiting the, well, Gerard's not too far behind. Oh no, Coxon just spun out again!
Oh, he doesn't want to do that often.
No, and oh man, the right-hand side of the car is now a mess. And Gerard goes up into third place. So Coxon's now down to fourth. Man, that Camaro's seen better days.
And that's not good for him because it means he might be once again out of the top 9.
It's possible, for sure.
he's definitely going slower. That car is very, very damaged at
Yeah,
this point.
I'm looking at him driving now. I'm thinking he might have an issue with one of the tires. Yeah, the car just pushed way to the outside. He's certainly, yeah, his car is certainly damaged. Gerard is gone. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah, the right front fender looks like it's almost rubbing the tire. It remains to be seen if he can continue in this with this situation. We'll see.
Or if he will make a pit stop to try to repair or change tires.
I mean, potentially he could do that and repair the damage, and then at least he would. But then, of course, he would fall way down the field, and of course, we've mentioned before, you can't count on a yellow in a race like this. It's very, very unlikely. In an oval race, perhaps you'd get a yellow, but here definitely it's just not something you can expect. Let's see if he comes into the pits now. No, he's going to stay out. I guess he figures he's just going to make the best of this situation at this point. I mean, he has to... Oh, no! Oh, he's had another incident. He just hit the wall again. Oh. Oh, and I see black smoke. I think that might have been sayonara for the motor. Yeah.
No, he's still going.
He's still going, but the car is emitting black
it's
smoke.
smoking a lot.
Yeah, it's emitting black smoke now, so I'm guessing the car is not long for this earth.
So I guess this retirement will definitely put him out of the top 9.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Because Richard is probably one of the more versatile drivers that we have. He races all manner of things. So, not having him in a finale of this type will be unfortunate. But, who knows? We have yet to tabulate points. You never know.
Yeah, someone might miss it, so we will see.
Looking back at the start, or I'm sorry, not the start. At the front of the field, the battle is still ongoing between Placé and Parker, and it really hasn't changed any. Parker seems to be, well, he's under constant attack from Eves still. Let's see what happens here. They both make it through the S's with no problem. Parker's car seems a little more stable than it was a few laps ago. Maybe he gave himself, or tried to consciously cool the tires a little bit.
Well, they're lapping a bit slower, so I guess tire wear is installing itself. And maybe that's making them be a bit more cautious.
Possibly. And Gerard Rion now is basically...
Ooh, and Coxon's car's on fire now.
Oh, goodness. He's got a flame in the cockpit. You better get out of there quickly.
Indeed, his lap is on fire.
Yeah, he's basically... The inside of the car is on fire now. That's not good. Oh, my goodness. We're looking inside the car now, and he's literally... It's a good thing this is sim racing. Get out of the car.
Well, I guess he will. He must be disappointed with the end of his race.
Yeah. Yeah, that's...
Meanwhile, Eves was really attacking Steve now, but no room there.
Yeah, it's really... I mean, watching these two in the closing laps is going to be really interesting. Because their tires will be spent. It will really come down to who can control the car the best. And we are coming up now. Next time around, there'll be 10 laps to go.
Ooh, Steve there, using all the road and then some. Meanwhile, still running, we have Gerard Rion, who is now third, of course.
Parker's sideways. This could be an opportunity for Eves if he can get good purchase off the corner. Oh, boy.
Ooh, but now Eves' car was a bit sideways, too.
Yeah, he suffered from the same problem Parker did. Is he going to try the... No, Eves knows better than that. He knows that if he does that, he'll... Ooh, I think Eves had an issue. Oh, man, Eves...
He got a bit too close there.
Yeah, he got too close, and then the back end, he lost a considerable amount of time there. So, Parker can breathe a bit of a sigh of relief for a moment. He's got a little bit of a cushion now, but, of course, we've 10 laps to go, so that could all change very quickly. Yeah, we have Gerard Rion in third place now, a driver who started this series as a relief driver, but has taken advantage of situations where others couldn't make it, and he's proved to be quite good in these cars. He's another driver who actually did quite well in the TA-71 series. I believe he was driving Sam Posey's Challenger, wasn't he, in that series? The green number 76.
I'm not sure, but I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, and so he's another guy who's no stranger to these types of cars.
Yeah, Gerard is doing his usual steady rhythm, steady finisher trick here.
Yeah.
He's not the fastest guy in this field today, but he didn't make any mistake.
No,
His car looks actually brand new, or almost, unlike some of the others.
Another car that almost looks showroom new is Ole Marius Mervold's car, and he is running in fourth right now, pretty much by himself. And then we have Ben Paulett, who, oh goodness, he just painted some light blue, Robin Zeg blue paint on the wall for a second there, but he's running fifth. So just by virtue of the...
Ooh, Yves Basset just spun.
Oh no!
Oh,
He did. He's come to a stop. Let's look at the replay. My goodness. Where did this it'll be interesting to see where this actually it happened in the switchback. Well, that's one of the more tricky places, and here's the replay. Yeah, you know what? It was a repeat of what happened in the previous lap. He just lost it going into that section. Fortunately for him, it does not appear like he hit anything. He rode up the embankment. Yeah, his car is clean, so he should be able to continue.
although I think
Oh
now,
no! Oh man! Then he ran down the embankment and had a pretty hard impact actually with the pavement down there. But I'm doubting that's going to cause him any serious problem. But he has now dropped way back from Steve. The gap is now 18 seconds. And I'm checking to see if he's under any threat from Gerard. Not really. Gerard is 10 seconds back, or 11 now, from that. So everybody's pretty spread out now, which, I don't know, unfortunately that kind of puts the kibosh on the last lap scrap that we were hoping would happen.
Yeah, but in another way, it seems that if the positions stay like this, Steve will avenge his defeat at the hands of Yves. Ooh, Yves is spinning again. I guess his tires must not be in the best of shapes at this point.
Yeah, he spun again in the exact same spot. So yeah, his tires are definitely, they're only tires in the academic sense. They're round. They were once made of rubber. So.
Well, he better be careful because Gerard is not that far behind.
Yeah, Gerard is now only, oh my goodness, that gap just decreased to 5 seconds. So if you're Gerard, you're looking for a cream-colored dot on the horizon. And let's see what happens. Yep, Gerard definitely can see Yves in front of him. So, and with Yves having the problems he is, we could be looking at a battle for second place here.
Indeed, but like I was saying, this is very good for Steve because he will be he will repeat his win of the first race.
Yes.
And he will have one hand firmly grasping the trophy.
Yeah, he'll definitely be in the psychological position of being the leader going into Daytona. Of course, also oval racing in these cars, as we've seen, can be perilous. At Michigan, it certainly was. Chain reaction accidents can happen quite easily because everyone's running so close together. And at Daytona, where everyone's running flat out, it could be doubly so. We'll have to check that out in October and see how it pans out. The gap now looks pretty constant between Gerard. Yeah, it's staying at 5 seconds, so maybe Yves has regained his composure. And
yes, it's, like I said, it's very easy to overcook the tires here in these cars. They are heavy, and once they go beyond their optimum temperature, you are in for a rough ride until they cool down again. And if you keep driving aggressively, they will never cool down. It will be actually the opposite.
So now the question is, can Gerard reel in Yves? And you can see him just on the horizon ahead of him. It's a very small carrot for Gerard, but we'll see what happens.
I think it will be hard for Gerard to catch Yves unless Yves' tires keep getting him into trouble. Because in terms of raw pace, I think Yves has the upper hand.
Yeah.
But of course, he's been making mistakes, and his tires maybe are not in the best of shapes at this point. So I guess the only thing that Gerard can do is keep his rhythm, keep his cool, do not make mistakes, and hope that Yves keeps running into trouble.
Well, Yves is coming through the section that's been giving him the trouble in this race, and he comes through relatively cleanly, and then here comes Gerard. So it does not appear that it appears that maybe Yves has slowed down a bit. He's trying to he's resigned himself to the fact that he won't win this one, and he's trying to maintain second because he knows, as well as everybody else, that the points spread here is very minuscule, and he's only going to get one less point than Steve for finishing in second. So the championship is still very much alive. It doesn't die simply because Steve wins this race today.
Oh no, definitely not. And at Daytona, being basically a draft race, anything can happen.
It will not be a situation either where we start inverted. The final race in the IROC format is the cars are arranged by points. So if that's the case, looking at what's going on here, that means that the front row will be Steve Parker and Yves Placé. We don't know what color cars they will have. That is going to be determined by a random draw.
Yes, and of course we still have both Ole and Ben still driving around and still in points position.
Yeah. Don't forget that Ole had a very excellent race last time here, and he did fairly good for a bit at Michigan too, which surprised a lot of people. So I wouldn't put... Oh my goodness, but he's really... Oh no! Speak of the devil, he just spun out at the...
His car is looking very damaged, and I believe his tires probably also.
So the question now is, where is Ben?
Well, Ben just spun on his own, so I guess there's not the threat of Ben catching Ole.
Oh, that's right. Ben just spun. Oh, and he rode up the embankment there. I believe he just went a lap down to
Steve, yeah.
To Steve, so... But Ben does continue. Alright, so we're now with 5 laps to go, and Parker is clearly way out in front. 24 seconds now he has on Yves, and oh my goodness, his car is definitely losing grip, but at this point he certainly doesn't have to drive 10/10ths. He can, if he maintains a very steady pace, he can bring the car home probably with no problem.
Yes, he certainly has quite enough of an advantage at this point. Mm-hmm. He can just basically cruise to the finish with 5 laps to go. He can afford to lose 4 seconds a lap, and he would still win this race.
Man, Ole's car is certainly damaged, but it doesn't appear to the damage to the point where he can't finish. He's got serious... that's interesting. I haven't seen that before. In terms of damage, the back end of the car, he's got a bit of a... It looks like a tail lamp is out of place. But...
yes, it almost seems like the lights are not affected by damage, only the bodywork around it.
Yeah, the lights apparently are not affected by damage, but... so the question really now, the only one that really, whoa, Eves really locks up going through the S's, but the only real question left to answer is can Gerard catch Eves in these last laps? My guess is probably not. Yeah, Gerard has actually lost a bit of ground to Eves, so given the situation the way it is now, that's how it may pan out. Looking back through the S's now, very quiet back there, looking for the next car to come through, and it may actually probably be Ben, but being a lap down. Man, it's crickets back here. I'm waiting for a car to come through, and I don't see one. My goodness. So we have 4 laps to go now, or actually now 3 this time by. Steve comes through the start-finish, and that means 27 laps complete, so 3 to go.
Yes, Steve is the one who's catching, I believe, Ole to put him a lap down at this point.
Yes, in fact, Ole is right in front of him, and I doubt Ole will make any problem for him. Although, my goodness, Ole gets out of the way now, but that was a bit probably closer than Steve would have liked, because the car was definitely, there was a huge weight transfer going on in the white number 1, and it didn't look good for a second there. It looked like you might come back onto the track in an awkward position, but Steve out of danger. Continuing on, and it's funny, we mentioned it before, his car is one of the, it's not showroom new, but it's certainly close to that.
Yes, and it's not a surprise that Steve and Eves do so well here. I mean, these cars reward, which is a bit maybe strange, because they are heavy cars who have a lot of weight transfer, but they reward being as smooth as possible and controlling that weight transfer. And that's something that Steve and Eves are very, very good. If we take a look, for example, at Ole or, Jose is not in this race anymore, but he was another good example. They are much more aggressive driving, and it doesn't make them particularly faster than the other two.
Any advantage that they would gain in the near term ends up being nullified later because of the fact that the car is spent, or the tires get spent versus other people. So, in a case, especially at a track like this, babying a car can really make the difference. And certainly, looking at what's going on now, man, Mervold is really struggling to hang on to that car. Oh.
Now I believe he's in a drift competition.
Yeah, basically
more than
he is.
A race.
Yeah, but based on what we're seeing now, with only 2 laps to go, or actually almost 1, Steve clearly has taken better care of his tires.
Ooh, and you see, around Ole went, his tires probably shot at this point.
Oh goodness! Looking at the replay now. See what happened here. Yeah, the back end just totally, his back end tires look like they're pretty shot.
He's having to counter steer, going straight almost, to show how bad the tires and maybe the damage that he has made his car.
All right, so Parker's coming down now to the final turn, and he will be starting his last lap of the race. Another very dominant performance by Steve, and not only was he able to keep the car clean and conserve the tires, but he drove with remarkable poise, given the fact that Eves was in his mirror for the bulk of the race. It psychologically didn't get to him. Steve, for those of you who don't know, is an avid fisher in his spare time, and maybe it's funny, that's almost that could be a reflection of the way his mind is in these races, because fishing is a very very calming sport, to take part in, and I don't know, it almost reflects the way he is as a driver. He doesn't seem affected by much. He seems very still, like a lake. A lot of the time.
Indeed, he was able to keep his emotions and his nerves in check despite Heaves hounding him all the time there, and it paid off because Heaves was the one who cracked at the end. And here he comes.
Yep.
There it is. And Steve won
And
this
Steve
race.
wins the race. There's the checker. So now let's see. Oh man, Eve's the back end of the car really getting loose, but he is going to finish in second. So we're going to have a real showdown in Daytona Beach, Florida, for the final round of this series between two very excellent drivers. So Place finishes in second. Good job by him too to keep the car under control. There's Gerard finishing in third. Excellent result for him. Ole, I believe, he's already in the garage, and so Ben is coming across now. So Ole finishes in fourth. Ben finishes fifth. Richard and Jose Berenger and Philippe did not finish, but they finished 6th, 7th, and 8th respectively. So that was round 3 of the IROC series. The next race will be at Daytona on October 9th. So we have a bit of a layover from that point on. Coming up next week, not sure we'll have a broadcast, but we are going to have 3 weeks in a row of the Jaguar Intercontinental Challenge, a very unique series and a brand new mod, brand new HSO content. Definitely something to look forward to, Richard.
Indeed, it's a brand new mod, and people seem to like it. The cars just flew off the shelf as soon as we opened the thread for the race. They're gone already. But if you want to try out, come around. Maybe there's a place if someone misses the race, and it's like Jason said, it's a brand new mod, a brand new car in the game.
Well, we're already taking reservations for the overflow. Will be automatically given a car at Silverstone. So even if you can't get a car for the race coming up next week, if you go and try to book a car in the for the race next week, you'll automatically, if your overflow, will go to Silverstone. So, well, that was that race. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see what happens in Daytona. I'm Jason White for Richard Wilks. So long from Riverside.
So long, everyone.